Hi, friends. Welcome back to the Saving Bread podcast. Today is a little different. This is the first episode in what we're now calling our Rabbit Hole series. Some of you may remember that we originally announced these episodes as breadcrumbs, but after a little reflection and a little inspiration from the Matriarch Rabbit logo, we decided Rabbit Hole felt like a better fit. Lessons are where we'll teach. Interviews are where we'll learn from others, and rabbit holes are where Leah and I get to follow our curiosity wherever it leads. Books, bakeries, grain history, food culture, milling, fermentation, all of these interesting side paths that don't really fit into a lessons or interview episode. So welcome to our first rabbit hole episode. Today, we're talking about our recent visit to the MAUM Market in San Francisco, and we're announcing a book that we will be reading together, and we hope you'll read it along with us. As always, thanks for being here. Settle in, and let's see where this rabbit hole takes us. I'm Allie White.
And I'm Leah Smith.
And this is Saving Bread.
You and I went to the MAUM Market, MAUM, in San Francisco, the Ferry Building, which is an Asian makers market. And we were able to go and look at many different things there. They had clothing, they had jewelry, they had a lot of stickers, but they also had food items, which for Allie and I are the things we like to look at jewelry and other things. But it was the food that was, at least I was the most interested in.
I was very excited for the food.
Yeah. So again, I love a maker's mart in general. I love to see what people are coming up with. They had a lot of really cool things with different like canned teas and chili oils and things like that. But the thing that I am normally most excited about are when somebody pulls out some baked goods, right? So what are you baking? What's interesting about what you're doing? And then I get to try all of it, right? That's my goal, is to try as many things as I can, get outside of my comfort zone, and see what I like. And so, it was a great opportunity for that. And there were a couple different places that you and I went to. Keep in mind, it was very busy there. It was also very hot.
Busy. Yeah. And we had all of our children.
So the ability to go to every single stall was a little limiting. So we tried to hit the ones that we had already looked at online and were interested in. Also, you could tell sometimes by the lines that existed of what most people were interested as well. So the first one was Meowvelous Bakes. The only thing that they had there were macarons. But if you look at their website and if you look at their Instagram, they actually have macarons, they have cakes, they do a bunch of different classes. I think they had a few other things in there too on their website that I'm not.
I think they did mochi.
Was it mochi? Yeah, they had a few different things on there. But anyway, they brought their macarons, and they were really beautiful. They were super cute. All of them, I think, were animal inspired. So ducks with strawberries. They had ube. They had hojicha, which the hojicha was a little capybara. So super cute. So shout out to them. They, I think, had 9 different flavors that we sampled, all 9 of them, of course, because how could you not?
Right.
And so that was excellent. When I talk to you about when we go, or when I talk about going and looking at bakeries, or you and I talk about the bakeries, we didn't have the opportunity here. I think you asked a couple of people that we talked to, but like, where do they source their flour from and where do they source some of those things from? Because my introduction to sourcing flour locally is really what I was educated by you, right? Taking your classes, your Instagram post about it, right? Your website, just the way that you're educating people on how to use locally sourced goods for some of what you can do, right? But yeah, so it was interesting. I wish we could have asked more people about that, but it just wasn't the right place for it.
Yeah, I did ask a couple of people and I got some of the typical answers of where they're sourcing their flour. And most of it was white flour, which was like totally expected because I think using whole grain flours is kind of unusual. But what I did like when I asked a few of the bakers where they got their ideas from for their flavors, all of them said that they were flavors inspired by their culture and their childhood. So even though they weren't using local stone milled flour or whatever, they're still telling their story through their baked goods by having those flavors represent like their culture and their childhood, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, if you look at Mavulous Bakes, and we need to try one of their cakes because I'm very interested in what their cakes looks like. But I love all of the different flavors that are not their traditional, like strawberry, pistachio. I mean, they do have those, right? But they're adding more flavors that, again, this is an Asian-inspired market, but we talk about ube and hojicha and different flavor profiles like that. Like, I love that because I grew up with those flavors too. Yeah. And you can't always get them everywhere. Green tea or matcha, you know, I just am so attracted to all of those flavors. So it was really cool to be able to try that in these little macarons that were adorable and tasted amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a great experience with them.
That was fun. And let's talk about the other favorite vendor from the event.
Yeah, so Jiwoo, Jiwoo, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, they made cannelés. And to be honest, I don't know if I've ever had a cannelé.
Me neither.
Maybe sometime in my life, but I don't see them that often, right? Like you don't see pop-up bakers, or when I go to bakeries, I don't see cannelés often as something that you would order or that you gravitate towards.
Right.
But this line was so long for this place. I can't remember how long you waited in that line for. Maybe
Probably
30 minutes or so.
Half an hour, 40 minutes, yeah.
Yeah. And Allie came back with 2 full boxes, one for each of us, one of every single flavor of whatever they had offered. So that was incredible. I really appreciated that, considering for 30 minutes, like I definitely want to try every single one of them.
Yeah.
And I don't want to, they're little cannelés. I don't really want to split them in half.
Right.
But they were so good.
So good.
The texture of them was so interesting because I thought that they were going to be like these soft, spongy little cakes, right? And I wasn't sure if that they were going to have that much flavor, but they were deliciously almost like crispy on the outside, and they were chewy and soft, and they weren't like, it wasn't like a cake, right? A sponge cake or something. It was definitely chewier, almost.
It was like a custard, but that was baked. It was, I don't even, if you've had one, you know. And I had not tried one either. And I looked it up. I texted you after. I was like, I just looked up how to make these. And it's so complicated. Like you have to have beeswax and like special molds, and the dough you have to make a day in advance. And the level of effort that goes into it, I'm blown away. And they also had so many flavors of them.
So many flavors. They had creme brulee. They had
matcha.
So my favorite was matcha. Oddly enough, not oddly enough, I love matcha flavor. But for that type of pastry, I didn't think that I was going to like matcha. I thought I would like the creme brulee. They had like a traditional chocolate. I think they also had a traditional vanilla.
And the black sesame.
Ooh, the black sesame. But yeah, the matcha really, I very much enjoyed in that pastry. I don't know if it was because, again, that like crispy, really dark exterior that led to that, again, that richer flavor of something. It's not burnt, but it's definitely, it's definitely a dark flavor though that you get with that matcha, with that delicious custardy inside. Yeah. They were incredibly delicious.
Shout out to Jiwoo. It was so good.
Yeah, right.
I messaged them after. I was like, I don't understand how you did this, but it's amazing. So if you see them or you go follow them on Instagram, go support them, go to their next pop-up. You will not be sorry. It was worth the 40 minutes that I waited in that line for.
We have a lot of really great opportunities, I think, in the Bay Area to be able to go to these pop-ups, to these markets. And Allie and I in the future want to go to more of these locations, but also to ask more questions. So as Ali had mentioned, what inspires you? Like, how did you get into making only cannelés, right? Like, how did this happen for you? And having a business with just that's incredible, right? Like, I've never even had one, and I had yours, and I would go order 10 of them again in a heartbeat.
Me too.
I still am interested in the question of where do you source your stuff from, and like, how does that impact the way that you can bake, right? Because as you mentioned, like, it's also a financial thing, right? So when you go in and you look for flour and different things, like, as you're starting a business, it might not be economical for you to get flours locally, or maybe you just have never even thought about it.
I think what you just said is so accurate. I don't think people are thinking about flour as an ingredient with options. I think people are thinking about flour as the vessel to deliver the thing that they really want to deliver. It's the forgotten ingredient, and I feel like it can be treated the same as a spice or something like that, where each flour brings its own flavor components, its own textural components. But I don't think we're there yet, but I hope that we do get there at some point.
I told you this a while ago, right? Because I travel to a few different places for work and for pleasure, right? And so I told you that after understanding what you do with your flour and that where you source it from, how you handle your flour, what's important to you as part of your flavor profiles, whenever I go somewhere, I now look up what are the bakeries that have really good ratings, but also what are they using? So that way I can participate in that process of them trying to use local ingredients and them also trying to understand and reinforce that there are other options for a bakery.
Absolutely. And what a great call to action for our listeners who aren't bakers, who are here just to learn and grow and have an open mind. That's a great way for someone who doesn't bake to participate in this movement, is to try to seek out bakeries and bakers, restaurants that are all using local grain, local vegetables, local produce, and supporting the farmers and millers and growers and bakers that are close to them. That's everything.
Yeah, agree. And so hopefully, like I mentioned before, between you and I think going to some of these local places, and some of them are just pop-ups, and it's just fun to go see them, right?
Absolutely.
And report back to viewers or listeners to what we find and what we find interesting. But also like going to bakeries wherever we travel to and hopefully getting interviews with those bakeries to, again, understand like where was your thought process on this and what is important to you. And then hopefully get those conversations so we can bring that and feed that back to this community, and also to hopefully support those bakers as well. So people locally will, support and buy their goods.
Absolutely. And on that note, another way that our amazing listeners can participate with us.
Yes.
I'm so excited. So Leah had this idea while she was walking her dogs, and we were trying to think of a way to include everyone. And she had this amazing idea of what if we read books about bread and bread history and bread culture, and we read them and then we talked about them together on the podcast. And not only that, but we asked our listeners to read them along with us. So we have our first book that we've picked, and we both have the book now, and we're going to start reading it. And then we'll come back in about a month to discuss the book. And so that will give all of you enough time to purchase the book, read the book. You can even send in questions or thoughts ahead of time, and then we'll discuss them all on the podcast. And I'll put an option, or I'll put a slide up on the Saving Bread podcast Instagram for people to submit their thoughts and their questions and things like that. And I'll give you guys shout outs. I'll give you all shout outs on the podcast. So the book, we can hold it up. Yours? Yes. Sourdough Culture by Eric. I want to say it's Palant. And this is a history of bread making from ancient to modern bakers. And I've actually read this book before, but it's been a really long time. So I'm looking forward to reading it again. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I started it. I don't know what I expected from it, but it's already very interesting and very deep. You never know sometimes. And it's the same thing with like cooking too. Cookbooks, things like that. You never know how deep they're going to go with that kind of research. But he has already started pretty deep in a good way, I think, going back pretty far. And also what I love, which is a little bit of a spoiler for everybody here, but there are recipes in there. Yeah. So I would like to actually, like, there was a couple of them as I'm reading this, right, and I'm reading the description of like how, you know, he went to these different places and the smells and the flavors and the different kinds of things. And then he has instructions of how to do that and recipes. I thought, oh my gosh, I should try some of this stuff.
That would be fun.
Yeah, right. And see, like, they even have a how to make a starter from scratch.
Just like kind of give you a little synopsis of the book, or just kind of a idea of what it's about. It's basically kind of goes from the fact that everyone at one point in time basically knew how to make bread. And now almost no one does. And so, like, what happened? What happened to bread? How did it become so processed? How did it go from this beautiful whole grain thing that was baked in every house to being a refined white flour sliced bread on a shelf at the grocery store? Like, the whole story. How do we get here, and how do we kind of go back? So it's a great read, and I'm looking forward to reading it again and discussing it together, and also having our listeners participate in that discussion.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited to see how many people read it and submit questions or thoughts. Also, I think for when we talk about listeners and how they can participate too, Allie does Q&A, right? So it's Q&A. But if there are any bakeries that we should look at, or if there are any books that any of you are reading that are interesting, please send them our way, just so we have a list of items that we can look at and start working through.
And when we're traveling, we'll just go ahead and tell everyone kind of maybe the area we're going to be, so that we can get some good recommendations, so that those bakeries can get even more attention and we can ask all the right questions there. This is a total side note, and then we can close it out. But we also had pastries last weekend from Fire Swamp Provisions.
Oh, yes. Those.
I've known Alex for a long time, and he will be on the podcast soon. Those might have been some of the best pastries I've ever had.
I do not disagree with you.
We need to go back.
Yes, that's actually a plan for Allie and I to go back.
Yes.
And eat more of them, selfishly, because they were so delicious. So good. I think I texted you after trying all of them that I was really surprised that the savory pastries for me in that category, I enjoyed more than the sweet ones. And the sweet ones were still incredible, but the savory ones were so thoughtful in what they were. So I think that's why I enjoyed that different flavor profile that was just really interesting in those pastries. And so I dream about those pastries until I've
been thinking about them every single day. And I have known him for probably 5 years, and I see him often, and I've never had one of his pastries. It's the first time I've had it, and I'm like, what have I been doing with my entire life? Shout out Alex, Fire Swamp Provisions. Please follow him on Instagram so you can go check him out at the farmer's market and get some of his incredible pastries. Life-changing.
He's incredible. And that's Petaluma, right?
I think it was the Marin.
Oh, the Marin Market. Okay.
It's, no, you know what? I want to get it right. So hold, please. Okay. He's at 2 different farmers markets. Okay, the San Rafael Civic Center. It's one of the biggest markets, I think, in the state. And it's at 3501 Civic Center Drive. And it's every Sunday. And that's the one that I went to. And I mean, get ready to look for parking because it's really busy. But If you're in the area, it's worth the trip because there were hundreds of vendors. Unreal. I can't wait to go back and have more.
Me too. We have a lot more for our listeners coming up. Almost feels like an endless supply. So stay with us.
We love to eat.
We do.
All right. Well, I think this is probably going to end up being a separate little surprise episode that I release along. Yeah, I might actually just drop it on Wednesday.
Yeah. Yeah, that could work.
Because this has been 20 minutes and I don't want to cut any of it.
Well, I'm so excited. Okay,
let's sign off and then we can keep chatting. Okay, So that's it for today. And Leah will be back on our next lessons episode. So we'll see
awesome.
you. We won't see you. You'll see us maybe. It's the podcast.
Maybe.
We'll talk to you then.
Can't wait. Okay, until next time.
Leah. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Saving Bread podcast. Music by Joshua from Dope. I'm Allie White. And as always, happy baking and long live real bread.